something's just come up and I'm gonna roll with it because I have a lot of resistance inside of me and I want to avoid it, which probably means it's important. So the insight is, I never wanted my partner to see me fail in any relationship. I was afraid to fail in front of my partner. I was afraid to fail in front of anybody, but it was amplified through relationships, like intimate relationships, where you see each other on the deepest level and there's nowhere to hide your flaws and your faults. And I just was terrified of vulnerability, I suppose. And failing in front of somebody is a really fast way to get very vulnerable, because I was addicted to this picture perfect idea of a relationship where I was just this incredible partner, very desirable, had all this great stuff going on, and the girl that I would meet would just be completely infatuated from the very beginning and just absolutely adore me and never want to leave my side, because I have that degree of insecurity where I need them to be hook, line and sinker, like all in, like absolutely in love from the very beginning. And I do like beautiful dramatic romantic things to ensure this connection is never forgotten, which is one of the big criticisms that many of my ex-lovers have, because they still remember how deeply I ensnared them in my my reality, like my dream of what could be with another person. But it's a roller coaster. It's super fun to be involved in, but I'm just reflecting on it at the moment, because I can see how it's maybe been to my detriment. I always knew that it was to my detriment. I always knew that it wasn't healthy to get so deeply involved so quickly. And everybody knows about codependent behaviors and all those kinds of things. And I have the perfect excuse in front of me to stop talking right now. There's a family with a dog, and they're 15 meters away, and I'm already my boundaries, my comfort. I can't be this vulnerable with people present, even though I'm speaking to a camera that is recording video that I'm going to upload to the internet. Don't ask me, guys. If you're new, that's not going to make any sense. And also, usually at the beginning of these, I say, if you're new, this is my video journal. It's not intended to be advice or guidance. I'm just expressing what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment, just so we're all on the same page. And because I start talking in these journals you should do this, you should do that, and get really preachy kind of sounding, I guess you could say, but I'm really just talking to myself. And so I try to remind everybody each time, I'm just reflecting, I'm figuring out my own life. I'm giving myself these instructions from deep inside myself. So yeah, I really, really want to avoid anything around this, because I don't want to admit to myself that I'm the problem. Even though I know that's the way to solve the problem. It's I don't know, guys, we all do this. We all have things that we know that we need to do that are going to make our life way better, but it's so painful to do them that we avoid them as much as we can. So I just want, more than anything, to curl up beside a beautiful woman who's familiar to me, who makes sense to me, who shares my values, or some of my values, some of my interests, enough that we sync up really good. And I've tried to manufacture that. I've tried to manipulate women in You know, like I just sort of described it as like this positive thing that is like fun and exciting and romantic, but it's still manipulation, and it just doesn't work. And I don't want to have any of these realizations. I just want it to be what I want it to be. I just want to be able to sweep a girl off her feet and present her with this amazing narrative, and she subscribes to it, and we live happily ever after. But the big problem that I've discovered from doing this over and over again is that I'm trying to be the author of the whole story. And when I do that so strongly from the very beginning, I sort of overwrite their own story, or like somebody else's story, and there isn't enough room for somebody to come into my life as a co-author. And also because I do it so rapidly, I don't have the opportunity to find out what kind of author they are, like what kind of values they have and interests they have. So I rush this connection, and I rush this fairy tale narrative that I create with them, which really I'm mostly the one contributing, and they're just sort of going along for the ride because it's so exciting. And yeah, when everything moves so quickly, I get 6 months into the theatrical performance that is love to me, or has been in the past, and I realize like, oh, I haven't written the role for this other person very well. And that's when all of these revelations come out. Like, they probably would have been better at authoring their parts of the story, but I've kind of just like cast them into this role in my play, like my game, and they really enjoyed playing that role because it was such an exciting part to play, but it's not the part that they are naturally inclined to create for themselves. And like, it's really like this, like I'm getting deep into some stuff here, and it's not necessarily like this is me, but this has been me. This is stuff that I've noticed that I've done. I don't want to do it. It's not that like this is like, I'm not saying this is my how-to guide for how I do relationships at all. Like, it's the opposite of that. It's stuff that I've hidden from myself and I've finally become aware of, and I hate it, to be honest. So yeah, just writing these stories too quickly, too mindlessly, and from a place of insecurity, and just, it's desperation is the word. Desperate for this connection that I've been seeking for as long as I can remember. Like, definitely at least my teenage years. Even before that, I can remember being a little kid and being obsessed with like having a girlfriend and you know, affection and being in love. Like, I was one of those kids that was probably a bit weird about that, like asking all the questions, like what does love feel like and all of that. Like, I don't know, like had this temperament that was just fascinated with falling in love. And it sounds like so strange to be saying it out loud, because I don't know if I really present that way to like the average relationship in my life, like friendships and family and stuff. I'm not sure if everybody really knows this about me. I know that my sisters know this about me because I've roped them into playing their own roles in my romantic theater of the universe, like organizing ridiculous things. Like, just one example is making like a huge flaming like fireworks heart on the beach, and I had to get my sister to go down and like, I prepared it all and she helped me prepare it, but I had to get her to go and light it, so I needed an accomplice to like make this amazing spectacle that would seal the deal on this love story. And you know, I've written songs, I've created entire like multi-day adventures with heaps of things planned at the exact right moments and all these kinds of things, and all in the pursuit of this love that I desperately want to mask my insecurity so that I just have somebody familiar that makes me feel like everything's going to be okay. And on the flip side of all of this, the reason why I've been able to excavate all of this truth from myself has been because I've been alone a lot more in the last couple of years now, maybe. Probably going close to 2 years. No, it'd be 18 months still. And yeah, being alone, it's just like when you stop taking drugs, or you stop taking medication, or you stop drinking alcohol, any kind of mask that you're using to prevent you from realizing the truth of your pain. When you take it away, then you start to see the truth, and then you actually start to feel the feelings and have the realizations that were hiding behind those masks. So like, as I've been alone, and I haven't even been alone the whole time, like I've kept going back and like having these little micro relationships, or even like fairly significant ones, and just like still wishing for it, even though I've been slowly realizing that this is the wrong way to go about it. And like, I feel so stupid and embarrassed to be saying any of this. Like, this whole journal is just embarrassing, and I feel guilty, I feel ashamed, just because I know how much pain it's caused. And it's ridiculous, because what I wanted to create was love. I wanted to create happiness and joy and share a connection and make this beautiful story, but all I created was pain. But I guess as well, that's part of life, you know. Any relationship is going to be like that to some degree. You go, you meet somebody and you have this connection, you share these experiences, you go on this journey, and it's all amazing and beautiful and powerful transformations, everything's occurring. And then when it ends, all of the stuff, it's like your misery is going to be the equal opposite of all of the pleasant, wonderful things that you experienced, because now it's gone. So as good as you felt, that's all of the good that is being taken away. And I don't want to feel that anymore. And maybe this is going to create a whole new problem, but like, I want to meet somebody and I want to do this right. Like, I want to take my time and co-author a story together and actually make sure that we're on the same page enough, like that that doesn't have to be any manipulation, even disguised as this pleasant, like, romantic story creating. Like, I just want it to be real and easy. And I talk to people about this sometimes. People get curious when I reveal this like romantic, desperate, insecure side of myself that's in search of this beautiful story. And they just go, what, really? And it's like 21 questions. Like, Kai, I need to know so much about this. I need to relearn who you are as a person, because this is just coming as an absolute shock to me. And people ask me all these questions, and they have a lot of objections to the kinds of stories that I'm telling, and maybe they're right. Maybe like my ideas of the kind of connection that's available and the kind of relationship that could be created are some idealistic, ridiculous pipe dream, but I do believe that I can have a relationship with somebody who shares, you know, the majority of values, like, and a lot of interests, and we complement each other and we supplement each other. It's just like, there's so much to contribute to one another, and there isn't a great degree of cost, like emotional cost, or, you know, even financial cost. Like, even the place that we want to live is aligned, and where we work is aligned. I believe that alignment is available, and I'm not going to experience it if I settle for less. And another crazy thing that I do, I've met my dream girl 3 times at least. I'm going to say that right now. Like, I could have married 3 of the women from my past, and they were like a beautiful story. All I needed to do was get out of the way enough for them to write themselves into the narrative. But like, my insecurity and my desperation, and I needed to control the story, and I didn't want to fail in front of them was this really big thing that kept holding me back. That's the big thing that fucked up every single beautiful thing I ever had, was like being afraid to fail in front of someone. I'd have to destroy the relationship, sabotage it, burn it all down, and then go take all the risks that I wanted to take and make a bunch of failures and mistakes and grow as a person, and then be on the lookout for the next relationship thinking that I'm ready now. And then as soon as I get into a new relationship that's like, this is the one, this is going to be so good, this is everything that I ever dreamed of and more, and they get better and better, by the way, I get back into that, and then that afraid to fail thing would come back up, and I wouldn't want them to see me fail. I wouldn't want them to see me vulnerable. I just want to be like, have it all figured out and be this incredible partner that they can count on and rely on, and this, like, you know, this epitome of like masculinity that, you know, you can depend on. He's strong, he's firm, he's fearless, all that shit. And I don't know, like all this programming, like you could think about it a little bit and like go, oh, this the kind of stuff is coming from the society that we live in, blah blah blah, but I'm not even interested in those excuses right now. I'm just owning all of it. And yeah, so what am I even trying to say? I've met these beautiful women and like had these connections that were fucking it, man, like, but I just was too afraid, too insecure and too desperate to maintain it, and I was afraid to fail, and I needed to fail a lot more, and I need to continue to fail in any relationships in the future. And that's the big aha moment that I really need to have. I need to fail in front of you. I need to fail in front of this audience. I need to fail in front of everybody. And it's not like I don't want to manifest a whole bunch of failure. I don't want to invite failure, but I just understand that I'm not going to succeed at every single thing that I fucking do. So I've got to normalize like giving everything a red hot go. And you try so much harder and you put so much effort in when you're not afraid of failure. There are times in my life and there are situations in my life and there are relationships in my life that I have that I do not give a fuck about failing. You got a best friend, you got somebody that you're not afraid of failing in front of. Like, I got a few really good mates that failing would even bring out more encouragement and happiness and laughter, and failing would actually be the catalyst for a bigger success. Like, failing in front of some of my friends means like, this is fucking hilarious, we got to try even bigger, we got to try even harder, we've even got to like, and it becomes almost like a joke, like, let's see if we fail, if we 10x this shit, if we 100x this shit. It would be just a funny story to fail at it, and then sometimes we succeed, those kinds of things. But I just need to get really comfortable with like not being incredible, like like this perfectionism shit. That's like one word that you could call it, and so many of us suffer from it. And maybe it doesn't encompass your whole life, but like some areas of your life. For me, relationships 100% were a place where I was a perfectionist, and it was this weird, like, I hope I've kind of articulated it well, like, just I wanted to be perfect to one person, you know, like I just wanted to look like I have my shit together and be able to provide and like create this beautiful story. And you know, everything else could be hard and fucked and full of mistakes and riddled with terror, but like, just wanted this familiar place where I created this story that I really enjoyed with this other person who also really enjoyed being a part of it. And I'm positive that I could go on for ages just like excavating this, but for now this is already so incredible that I've allowed myself to even express this on a journal. But the last like bunch of these, I've really been digging deeper, and when something comes up and I'm like, I don't want to talk about that, I'm going for it. Like, let's just start, let's say the first thing, the first insight that's emerging, and see what else comes out behind it, because usually there's some really important stuff that I need to hear, and that's really all that it needs to be. Maybe somebody else benefits from it, hopefully somebody else benefits from it, but really it's for me. Like, I needed to hear this stuff come out of my own mouth so that I couldn't argue with myself anymore. Like, I said this now, I heard me say this, I know this is real, this is coming from a real place, this is not like putting on a show, like I'm actually excavating from internal to external, like this is it, this is the truth, and now I've heard it and I can watch it back and I can't bullshit myself anymore. So that's the value that's in this for me. If there's value in this for you or anybody else you may know who could benefit, please pass it on to other people. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments down below, and go check out kailives.com. I'm really excited to be kicking off the full video production again in April, probably late March we'll be starting to film things again, and there's going to be some like proper, you know, A+ content, really you know, engaging and stimulating and all that stuff that the internet loves, which will be really good because you might just be sick of looking at my talking head. See you again very shortly.